Welcome to Navigate STL Schools, a podcast. I am here with Lauren Campbell with Ready Readers. Lauren, tell us about yourself and what you do.
Hi, well, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you all for having me. So I'm with Ready Readers. I'm the community programming coordinator. Been there for a little bit over a year now. Prior to that, I was an educator for 7 years. I taught middle school math. So been in the education world for quite a while. With Ready Readers now, I'm just my job is really to connect the community, families with literacy and giving them equal access to that.
Okay, so before we hop into everything, we ask everyone the same question. What is your personal K-12 education story?
Oh, like where did I go to school, all that stuff? Okay. So St. Louis question. So I actually grew up right here in the West End neighborhood of St. Louis. I went to private schools for elementary school. I went to Cathedral. It's closed now, but whatever. My high school was Rosati Kane, which is now staying open. So yay, so excited about that. And then got my degree from the wonderful Harris Stowe State University.
Awesome. So what is Ready Readers?
Great question. So Ready Readers is an early literacy nonprofit. And basically our mission is to increase access to literacy for low-income families. We do that through building relationships. That's through our weekly story time program that we have. We do that through literacy experiences. So with the sites that we work in, we do things like, for example, provide field trips for the kiddos there, literacy-based field trips for the kiddos there. And then my job, which is just to find ways to connect the community outside of classrooms with literacy.
So why is early exposure to literacy important?
So that's a really good question. And that's kind of one of the things that I guess I learned the most about here at working for Ready Readers. I mean, I knew literacy was important, obviously. I knew it's important for kids to be able to read. But I didn't, I guess, understand the magnitude of it really until I kind of got into this role. So literacy is important because it's literally the gateway to everything. You can't really do much if you can't read and write. And so, there's all these statistics that show that, if kiddos are not able to read proficiently and confidently by third grade, that can literally change the trajectory of their whole entire life. From things just as simple as reading a street sign, reading a restaurant menu, to, learning because you know how to read, all the way up to incarceration rates. Like, literacy affects everything. And so it's important that all children have equitable access to resources to learn to become confident readers, to find the joy in reading, to find the joy and imagination and the fun in books, and to just give them the opportunity to live their best lives.
So I think I might have read a statistic recently that said something like 1 in 6 adults have or don't read proficiency, are almost effectively illiterate. And what do you think leads to that? And what are the challenges that are put on the education system to kind of create those things, those statistics in 2023?
So that is true. And it's crazy to think that so many people are not like functionally literate. So just meaning so things like I said, like just reading like a restaurant menu would be a challenge. And so I think it's a lot of things that lead to that. One, I don't think some people recognize just the magnitude and the importance of starting early with literacy. I think sometimes people just think like, okay, we're just gonna, send the kids to school. They'll learn to read there. They'll read some books and keep it pushing. But it's more than that. It has to start literally like from the very beginning while, babies are still in the stomach baking, start reading to your children then. And then I think it is an access thing. I think, again, people assume like books are easy to get, but they're really not. They're expensive. We also know representation matters. So there are a lot of books that don't represent a diverse population. So, kids want and need to see people in books that look like them. And unfortunately, that's just not something that is super duper common. And then again, just getting access to those books is sometimes a challenge. And then, sometimes parents themselves, like we said, aren't, proficient readers. So, imagine it's hard to do things you're not good at. And so if you're not that great of a reader, it's reading to your kid is not going to be like the top thing on your list of things to do, because you're like, well, I can't read myself, so like what can I really do with them? But literacy is everywhere. And so if it's something as simple as like going to the store and reading like the food signs, or again, reading street signs as you ride around, or just identifying letters, it's everywhere. And it's not as daunting of a task as I think that some people think that it might be. And so I just think, if we were to talk more about the importance of literacy, talk more about the importance of early literacy and starting earlier, and then just simply creating opportunities for folks to have access to books and quality books and books that look like them, I think is a really good starting point.
Access to books. One of my favorite things about Ready Readers is that you guys give away so many books. We have partnered with you guys to give away books. How do you source the content and materials that you guys share with the students? And then do you guys also carry culturally or socially relevant themes in your books that you share with families?
Yeah, so no, thanks for asking that, and thank you. Yes, we do. Ready Readers has given out over 1 million books now, and that is the goal. We want to just continue to provide access to those quality books. And so, like we said, representation is important to us. So we all throughout the year, we are sourcing and looking for books that represent the populations that we serve. We for example, we'll go to I See Me bookstore here in St. Louis. We'll go there and just kind of shop and see what's the latest and the hottest, in children's literacy, and just kind of keeping our eye out for books and titles and authors. We like to also try to find authors of color. We've highlighted several local authors here from St. Louis as well. And then just as a team, we kind of have like a team story time. So we kind of just gather all these books that we thought would make great read-at-home books or books to give out to the community. And we read them. We sit and we just read to each other. How does the book make you feel? What are the images like? What's the flow of the story like? What's the message? And then, and again, we're trying to be intentional about the characters. One thing that I did learn through this job was that there aren't a lot of, most books feature like animals, right? I mean, and kids love animals, and that's great. But again, it's also important for kiddos to see like humans in the books as well. So we also try to lead with that too. We try to be intentional about kind of a mix of books with humans, books with animals, and again, books that are like culturally responsive. We know that social emotional learning is incredibly important as well. Books are a great way to get kids to talk about and understand their feelings and their thoughts and how to express those emotions. So we try to find books also that kind of talk about that, and just make things more accessible.
So I know for me, one of my favorite books to read in second grade was like Junie B. Jones. Like I just love that little sassy character in those books and bringing those stories alive. When you are sourcing that content and materials, what are some of those key relatability factors that you guys are looking for to help kids find themselves in the characters? If you're looking at the socially relevant things, like do you guys have topics about like online bullying or maybe staying safe in your community and things like that?
Definitely. That's important. So like an easy topic right now would be like back to school, right? So like, especially for the little kiddos, they may be starting kindergarten, starting pre-K or whatever, and that's kind of a scary thing, right? So, we try to find a book that just talked about going back to school or like making new friends, or we have a book that's it's called It's Okay to Make Mistakes, just so they know that, like it's okay. These things are normal. Simple things like going to the dentist. Last school year, we were actually able to give out a dental kit with one of our read-at-home books to help kids, feel more comfortable going to the dentist. Because, like, I, for one, hate going to the dentist. It's scary. There's all these machines and lights and things. And so, to just things like that, to, like, to expose them to it, and then to let them know that, like, these things are normal, these feelings are normal. So things like being kind, or, just, like, being a good person, or one of our read-at-home books now is called Rainy Day Rocket Ship. And so just something as simple as, it's a rainy day outside. You want to go outside and play, but you can't. Well, use your imagination and create a rocket ship in your closet. And it's like about a boy and his dad, and they, build this rocket ship, and his imagination takes him to all these different, wonderful places. And so, just things like that, that, again, the kids, they can see themselves in them and see themselves in the books, but then also they can relate it to, hopefully see that it relates to their actual world as well.
So you mentioned kids as early as pre-K reading these books to get ready for school. What age are kids supposed to start learning? How early can a kid start reading?
I mean, at the very beginning, like I said, while they're still baking in the belly, like get the books out and start reading to them then. But then obviously, seriously, like age zero, like we have books that are for ages 0 to 2. And so really from the very beginning, just because it kind of like normalizes it, it doesn't make it like this big task, like, oh, we're reading a book. Very important, but the earlier you teach kids that like this is a good thing, this is fun, this can, take you places, this can inspire you, this can affirm you. We love books about affirmations with affirmations as well, because we want kids we want to increase that self-love, that self-confidence, all of that. So 0 from scratch, very beginning. It's never too soon to start reading books, talking about literacy and all that.
So my mother and father will tell anybody who will listen that I was reading at like 6 months old. Like I would flip the newspaper back and be like, I'm not done with this.
Yes.
And they got me hooked on phonics at a really early age and all of those things. And I was definitely one of those library kids, very excited to get my library card and be able to like ride my bike to the library and things like that. And I'm wondering, like, that was before iPads. That was before great public television. Like we had Sesame Street and Arthur, but like not a lot else. We had no Bluey to keep us entertained. So I know for some parents it's really hard to think about like how do you transition to that. So what tips or tricks do you guys have to help parents get their kids interested in analog reading?
I love it. So one thing you actually just reminded me of, because like at 6 months, right, you can't necessarily like read. And I find that, because even one of the sites that I read at, the kiddos get frustrated because they're like, well, I can't read. And it's like, actually you can, because it's also just as simple as like looking at a picture and just saying like, well, what do you think is going on in this picture? Like, let's just look at the picture. Make it up. But imagination is important, right? Especially it's important. And so it's just something as simple as, even if we can't figure out what the words are yet, let's just look at the pictures. You tell me what you think is going on here. Like you said, let's just make up a story as we go. Okay, let's turn the page. Simply turning the page, which I didn't realize, again, until I got this job, is like a thing. Like the kids have to learn how to do. And like we give books out to the kids. And again, one of my kiddos got really upset because she couldn't turn the page. And I was like, well, like I never thought about like having to teach them. That's a I forget what you call it.
Fine motor skill.
Yes, thank you. A fine motor skill that I don't know, you just take for granted. Like, it's just turning a book page. But, like, that's the thing, too, that you can teach very early, just how to kind of grab that one page and turn it. That's extremely satisfying for a kid to be able to see a picture, tell what's going on, and then turn the page and go on to the next thing. Make it fun. Sing songs. Get silly. You may feel like, oh, this is so ridiculous. But, like, the kids love it. Sing songs with it. Everyday activities, again, make it just kind of, it makes it more accessible. So just everyday things. Folks got to go to the store all the time, right? Mm-hmm. So when you're going to the store, you could just pick out like, okay, let's do a letter of the day. Today's letter is L. See if you can find, all the cereal boxes with an L on it. Something like that. And again, just try to make it fun for the kids. I think sometimes, especially if you don't enjoy it, kids are like, oh, I don't want to read this book. But if you can find ways to make it kind of like engaging and fun for them, make a game out of it. Again, find books that look like the kiddos you're reading to. That's important too. They want to see themselves. Yeah. Imagine I get excited, when I see a program that with folks that look like me or a book or whatever, a story. So find things that they can see themselves in those books. But then also too, learning about other cultures as well. Like that's important. Again, it's also a way to like expand their world as well. And that's what books do. It expands your world. So find books about different cultures, different countries, and get them excited, to learn about that too and how important that is, just to learn about people who are different as well. And so I think the key thing is just like make it fun. Mm-hmm.
So I know that you guys partner with schools. So we talked about your home reading program. talk to us about the work that you do with the schools through Ready Readers, and why that's important, or challenges that make this partnership possible.
So our like our biggest program is our Storytime program, and so Ready Readers is in over 1,000 classrooms, and so every week we have wonderful, amazing, dedicated volunteers, and so once a week for about 30 minutes, they go into these classrooms all over St. Louis and do a 30-minute story time with the kids. Again, we know that relationships are important, so it's the same reader every week, same classroom, same kiddo, same teacher, and they really look forward to it. Like it's a good time for them. And so so we send the volunteers into the early childhood centers, the kindergarten classrooms to read to the kids about 7 to 8 times. Also throughout that school year, they get a book, a brand new book the kids do to take home. That same book is given to the classroom teacher as well, so they can have like that continuity of, you're building the kids at home libraries, but then the teacher also has the same book to read to the kids at school. We give in each book, which is really cool, I think. In each book we have like some read at home notes, and so again, just some of those tips like specific to the book of like how to make it fun and engaging at home. Really simple, accessible things. We're not saying like, go out and buy this, and this. It's just like take the toilet paper roll, make it a telescope, like that kind of thing. So, and then the teachers also will get like a packet with like extension activities and just kind of some fun, easy things that they can do related to the book with the kiddos as well. Again, another thing I mentioned is the field trips. So, we partner with some other organizations, for example, like St. Louis Symphony, where we're able to provide field trips to some of our sites for the kids to go, and it's tied to a book or a story, of course. But they get to go and experience like a symphony show, which is like really cool for them to see. And just trying to find ways to support the teachers. We also have PDs, professional development, for our teachers as well. We can and they can earn like clock hours for that too. So just things around like trauma or like social emotional learning, or again, just kind of ways to engage literacy with these other important topics too.
So you mentioned reading in classrooms. Sign me up.
Okay.
But how do parents and community members get involved with your work and other things that you do?
So for the parents, honestly, like we just promote the importance of literacy. So just, read to your kids, the books that we send home, and the books that we give out in the community. Read to your kiddos, read to the neighbors' kiddos, read to your nieces and your nephews, all of that. So just read to the kids and just spread the word about how important it is to read to kids and how important literacy is. The community, again, we're always looking for ways to partner with organizations. And it's like, because that's one thing. There are so many fantastic, amazing organizations that are doing great work here in St. Louis in the early childhood education, literacy world. And so, we're always looking for ways to partner with organizations like Navigate STL Schools to just further our mission. We're not trying to like reinvent the wheel, or, we want to just work with folks that are already doing work, already working with families. And so we can just continue to find ways, again, to partner with organizations to just increase access to literacy and get books out there. You can also always become a volunteer. We cannot do this work without volunteers. We are always looking for more volunteers. And again, it's a 30-minute commitment a week. Again, you go and you read to the kiddos the same time every week. We try to make sure we find some place that's like close to home for you, at least, so you don't have to travel too far. We provide a training, we provide the books, we provide ideas, we provide resources, all of that. So you can go to the website if you're interested in volunteering with us, because again, we're always looking for volunteers.
So earlier on, we offline discussed this program called Reading Captains.
Yes.
What is that?
So I'm so glad you asked. So the Neighborhood Reading Captains is a program that we launched just this year. We started right here in the Weston neighborhood. It's our first neighborhood. And so Neighborhood Reading Captains, they celebrate the joy and power of literacy with their neighbors by sharing experiences and resources with families. And so it's kind of general. But what it is so the program, we got the idea from a program in Philadelphia, actually, and they have an organization called Read by Fourth, and they have a Reading Captains program there. And it's literally just neighbors helping neighbors with literacy, but then also other resources. Again, we know relationships are important. Trust is important. It's important to not have just like, organizations coming in and saying like, this is what you should be doing. It's like, no, like the community knows kind of like what they need. We just want to support. So we have chosen to recruit and compensate community members to kind of be that like reading champion for their neighborhood. And so there isn't, one specific like activity that they're doing. It's just whatever they feel the need is. So if that is, having a vendor table at a back to school event and passing out books, then we'll support our captains in doing that. If they, want to host a story time in the park or at the barbershop or at the laundromat, we'll support them with getting books. If there's, they live in an apartment building and there's a bunch of kids out there and they want to put up a little free library outside there for the kids to just kind of trade off books, we want to support and help do that. They want to have a book block party, like we can do that too. So we just want to find ways to, again, connect with the community and with families directly, but then also like empower them to do the work that they're probably already doing or that they want to do and maybe just don't have the resources, but we just want to support them in doing that work. This is a community-based, neighborhood-led program, and we want to empower the community to do the work to get literacy and other resources to their neighbors.
So you said you guys are starting that program in this West End area. How did you select this area of St. Louis to pilot the program?
So we're very intentional about that. We want to grow this to all over St. Louis. So we make our neighborhood choice through like a needs and strength based approach. We recognize that there's a need. St. Louis itself is a book desert. So, and we know that the West End neighborhood has some challenges. That's no secret. But we also know that there's a lot of amazing work being done here as well. We have Del Mar Divine and all the wonderful organizations that are here. Our community partner in the West End, Cornerstone Corporation, they've been super supportive. So we know that there's a lot of people that are invested in this community, that want to see it thrive, that have wonderful ideas about ways to kind of lift it up. And so we just wanted to tap into that. And, we had an advisory committee as well. And so, we've talked this over with folks and with groups and people, and we've held meetings and all that kind of stuff. And just to make sure we were thoughtful about that. And so, yeah, and the West End just kind of bubbled up to the top, and we've been received really well. Again, Cornerstone Corporation has been a great support for us with recruitment and kind of spreading the word and storing books for us. And everybody's just been very, very supportive. And so, and again, that's one of the reasons why we knew it'd be good to start here too, because there's so much support. And so while there is a need, but we know that there's great things too. So
what does it mean to be a book desert?
Oh, good question. Basically, there's not enough books in homes in the greater St. Louis area. So having like 100 books in your home, in your at-home library, is kind of like the benchmark of what's like enough to have. And there are just not enough homes like that here in St. Louis. So many families just don't have enough books, and that seems like, to me, that just seems ridiculous. Like how can it be, like how can we get to a point that there are so many families that just don't have enough books or enough access to books in their house, and that's just not fair, And so so St. Louis is a book desert. There are just a overwhelming amount of homes that don't have enough books for their kids in the home. And so we are a book desert, similar to like a food desert where there's just not enough access, easy access, I guess you could say, to those resources. Books is one of those things that we just don't have, easy access to.
That's really sad.
It is. It really is.
I just recall reading as a child and just wanting to explore and learn and think about things in a different way. So as you consider that and the idea of this book desert and not having enough access to things to spark kids' imaginations, what do you think parents should be considering when they're looking for that first school for their kids?
Oh, I talk to so many people about that because it's hard. So I'm a parent as well. My son is 16 now, but I have always said choosing a school is one of the hardest decisions that you have to make as a parent, because this is a place that your child is going to spend a lot of time. You want to make sure that you are setting them up for success, and it's just hard to do. And so in St. Louis, there are a lot of options. And so like that could be a good thing and a bad thing, because it's very overwhelming with choices. And so, it's not one thing I think that you should be looking for, but I definitely think you need to start early with, don't wait and say like, oh, well, they're 2, so I got some time. I don't really need to like, look into it. Like, no, you need to be starting as early as possible. Do the research, contact schools, go visit the schools, find places that you are comfortable leaving your child in for the majority of their day. What do the demographics of the staff look like? That's important to me. Again, we're talking about representation matters. So like, it's important, I think, for kids to have teachers that look like them. Just so that's important as well. What resources and opportunities does the school have? I think is important as well. School and learning is not just about, going to school, sitting at the desk and learning, ABCs. Like they also need to be exposed to all kinds of things, extracurricular activities, sports, clubs, games, arts, all of that. So, I think you need to do that research as well. Don't just because the school is down the street, transportation and convenience is important as well. I get that. But don't just assume the school down the street is just your best option because it's close. Do the research and see what's out there. I'm so glad. I wish organizations like Navigate STL Schools was around when my son was younger, because when I'm telling you, it is overwhelming, and it's never not overwhelming. So like, I feel for parents when you're trying to figure out what school for your kids to go to. But I would just say start early and just do the research.
So if I'm a parent and I'm evaluating from wanting to have like a healthy reader, should I be looking for like classroom books? Should I be looking for like letters on the wall? Should I be trying to see what titles are there? Like, what do you recommend if I want that healthy reader and I'm going into my kindergarten classroom for a setting?
Yes, definitely. I think, especially with the current landscape of things, definitely find out what books your kids are reading. What books, and that goes for the kindergarten classroom all the way up to high school. You need to know what books they're using to teach your children with. So yeah, ask for a book list. You can ask for that information. Yes, what is the classroom setup like? That's super important. Sometimes, folks get stuck in the like, okay, so like desks, rows, sit straight, don't move. That's not how everybody learns. So yes, you want to go into that classroom. You want to see what pictures are on the wall, who's on the wall. Yes, do they have letters and words and that sort of thing? Is literacy can they see literacy come alive in that classroom? And it's okay. I think sometimes parents might be intimidated when it comes to questioning the school or questioning the teacher, but that's your baby. Ask all the questions that you need to get clarification and continue to. So it doesn't stop with just the beginning of the school year, but it takes a team. And I say that as a parent, as a community programming coordinator, and as a former educator. It literally takes a village. So, things happening at home and at school, there needs to be communication about that. So, just continue to be involved, be active, and be engaged in your child's education, and ask the questions. Yeah.
So, given your work with Ready Readers and your experience as a classroom teacher, what gives you hope about the future of education as it exists, with all the book bans and changing curriculum and redeveloping history that's going on? Right. What really gives you hope about inspiring this next generation of readers and learners?
So things are scary, yes, and the educational landscape it's scary. I don't know what to expect, to be honest. But again, knowing in St. Louis, and I've learned about so many in this role, there are just so many wonderful people doing incredible work. And so that alone gives me hope, because I know there are a lot of people that are fighting and advocating for the right things, and understand the importance of books, of literacy, of equal access to education. And so that gives me hope, just knowing that there are so many people, in this fight that are really trying to do the work. So that gives me hope. Just having been able to talk to a lot of kids, as a teacher and now, but there are a lot of kids that get it. They get it, and they're vocal about it. And so that's empowering, because it's okay, if these little people and teenagers can understand the importance of things, and they're outside talking about it, and they're expressing their opinions, they're standing up, They're writing letters, they're sending emails, they're making posts, all of that. So that's really empowering to see too, that like the kids are getting involved too. And I love that. Like I encourage kids to be an advocate for the things that you want and that you need, and stand up for what you believe in and say something. And I feel like it's more and more younger people doing that now. So that align with the passion and the dedication of all these amazing organizations that exist in St. Louis, and these amazing advocates and fighters that are out here like really truly doing the work. I don't know how soon or how quickly we'll see, changes, but I just know that like the work is being done and we are trying. So that gives me hope, to keep going.
Awesome. And then my last question for you is, if I'm a teacher or a parent and I want to get in touch with your resources or get a reader in my classroom or classroom books, or a parent who wants to get a set of books for their kids, how do I find you?
So you could go to readyreaders.org. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, so you can find us on social media as well. And just reach out. So like if you're like a school or a teacher specifically, on our webpage there is it says like for teachers or directors, there's a tab there that you can click and click to sign up or get more information about like being a Ready Reader site. If you are, same thing for volunteers. If you have a little time to give throughout the week and, you want to just kind of do your part in that way, awesome. We'd love to have you. Same thing. Go to our website, readyreaders.org, and you can click sign up to be a volunteer. We'd love to have you as well. If you're a community member or a family and you're just interested in partnering or getting some books or just trying to figure out, if you just have some questions and you just want to kind of figure it out. Same thing again, go to our website. You can send me an email, lauren@readyreaders.org. I'm also on the website too, so you can find me there. And just reach out and let's just have a conversation. I'm always open to, again, figure out new ways that we can partner, figure out how we can connect with families. Again, with our neighborhood reading captains program, especially, we're trying, like I said, kind of go to all the different neighborhoods. We're here at West End now. We're launching in Dutchtown as well. So if that's something you're interested in, send me an email. I'm more than happy to kind of talk that through, or at least just connect you to the right person to make that happen.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lauren,
for
being here. Thank you guys for listening. All the contact information for Ready Readers will be listed in the show notes. Thank you guys for listening to Navigate STL Schools, a podcast.